Hello, my name is Anna, and today I want to tell you about my trip to Paris. Paris is a very famous city in France. Many people call it the City of Love. For many years, I wanted to go there. I saw pictures and videos, but I wanted to see it with my own eyes. Finally, last year, my dream came true. Airplane, the journey begins. I started my trip early in the morning. I packed my suitcase and went to the airport. My flight was at 9 a.m. I was a little nervous, but I was also very excited. At the airport, I got my ticket, checked my bag, and went through security. Then I waited near the gate, and soon it was time to board the plane. The flight was about 3 hours long. I looked out the window and saw clouds in the sky. I listened to music and read a book on the plane. I also tried to sleep a little. When we landed in Paris, I felt very happy. The airport was big and full of people. I heard many languages: French, English, Spanish, and more. I followed the signs to get my luggage. Then I went outside and took a taxi to my hotel. My hotel and first walk. My hotel was in the center of Paris, not far from the Eiffel Tower. The building was small but very pretty. My room was on the 3rd floor. When I opened the window, I could see rooftops and hear people outside. After I rested a bit, I went out to explore. I didn't have a plan. I just walked. There were so many things to see. Little shops, bakeries, flower stands, and people sitting in cafes. Paris was full of life. The streets were narrow, and many buildings were old but beautiful. Tokyo Tower, the Eiffel Tower. One of the first places I visited was the Eiffel Tower. It is the most famous building in Paris. It is very tall, 330 meters. When I saw it, I couldn't believe it. I had seen it in photos, but in real life, it was even more beautiful. I took the elevator to the top. It was a little scary because I don't like heights. But when I got to the top, the view was amazing. I could see the whole city, the river, the bridges, the small streets, and people walking below. I stayed up there for a long time, taking photos and looking around. Then I went down and bought a souvenir, a small Eiffel Tower keychain. I sat on a bench and ate a croissant I bought from a bakery. It was warm and fresh. Delicious. Hot beverage, a French cafe. That evening, I went to a cafe near my hotel. It was small and cozy. I sat outside and watched people pass by. I ordered a cup of coffee and a slice of quiche. It was simple food, but very tasty. Next to me, a couple was speaking in French. I didn't understand everything, but it sounded nice. The waiter was friendly. He asked me where I was from, and we talked for a few minutes. I told him it was my first time in Paris, and he smiled and said, "Welcome." Framed picture, a day at the Louvre. The next day, I went to the Louvre Museum. It is the biggest museum in the world. There are so many things to see: paintings, statues, and more. I saw the Mona Lisa. It was smaller than I expected, but very famous. There were many people in front of it, all taking photos. I also saw art from Egypt, Greece, and Rome. I walked for 3 hours and still didn't see everything. The museum is huge. I sat down to rest and ate a sandwich I brought with me. Even sitting on a bench in the Louvre felt special. Church Notre Dame and a rainy afternoon. After the Louvre, I walked to Notre Dame Cathedral. It is very old and beautiful. The windows are colorful, and the walls have many small statues. I went inside. It was quiet and peaceful. I lit a candle and said a little prayer for my family. Then it started to rain. I didn't have an umbrella, so I ran into a bookstore. The bookstore was small and warm. I looked at books in English and French. I bought a small book of French poems. Even if I didn't understand all the words, I liked how they sounded. Artist Palette Montmartre and artists. One of my favorite places in Paris was Montmartre. It's a hill with narrow streets, many artists, and small shops. I climbed the stairs to the top. There were painters and musicians on every corner. I visited the Sacré-Cœur Basilica. It was white and bright. From there, I had another beautiful view of Paris. I sat on the steps, listened to a man playing guitar, and just enjoyed the moment. I also got my portrait drawn by a street artist. He was very kind and talked to me while he drew. Now I have a picture of myself from Paris, and I will keep it forever. Shopping bags, last day and souvenirs. On my last day, I went shopping. I bought postcards for my friends and family, a small box of macarons, and a scarf with Paris prints. I also bought myself a notebook to write about my travels. Then I walked along the river Seine one last time. I sat near the water and watched the boats go by. I felt a little sad to leave, but also very happy that I came. Red Heart, saying goodbye. Paris gave me so many good memories. I saw amazing things, met kind people, and learned new things about the world, and myself. I hope I can go back one day. There is still more to see, like Versailles, Disneyland Paris, and the Latin Quarter. This was my trip to Paris. Thank you for listening to my story. I hope you enjoyed it. Where do you want to travel next? Maybe your dream trip is closer than you think.